Okay, Sarah, can you say telescope? Telescope. This is a telescope, see? Someday, you're going to use a telescope and you're going to be an astronomer like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, hi, sorry, I'm just talking to my doll. Anyway, welcome to Module C. We're now going to be talking about socialization. What? You think it's funny that I'm wearing a kilt? Are you sure you're not being a little ethnocentric there? I mean, after all, I'm Scottish, and in Scottish tradition, kilts are menswear. But then again, what does it matter? Why do we assume in American culture that men would generally be wearing trousers, and it's more women who would be wearing skirts? Well, in this lesson, we're going to be learning about how we learn these things, both about our culture in general and about ourselves. What is it, beyond the assumptions based on my genitalia, that makes me a man? We're going to be talking about socialization, the lifelong process from infancy to adulthood to old age that gradually changes our personality, teaches us about ourselves, about the world, teaches us knowledge, the kind of information that in our culture helps us to survive. What is it that made me so interested in and knowledgeable about science and society? Was it because people taught me these things? Or was it because I grew up in an environment that had a lot of resources for learning about these things, where I could explore on my own and discover my own interest? We'll also be talking about ourselves, about the way the people around us, the way that they interact with us. It's like they hold up a mirror. When I tell this little doll that she's going to grow up to be an astronomer, what does that tell her about herself, about her own possibilities? When I tell her that she's very pretty and that that's what matters about her, what does that tell her about her future, about what's important, about what she should value? Well, that's what your research project is going to be about in this module. CR is going to be observational field research. You're going to go out and you're going to watch adults, like me, interacting with kids, like this. Kids between roughly about infancy, but preferably toddlers, ones who can move a little bit on their own, and about 10 years old. And what you're going to look for is how they talk to the kids. Do they mostly, it might be a bit mixed, but what do they mostly talk about? Is it about the kids' looks, or is it about their skills and activities and maybe future job prospects? How do they hold the baby? Is the baby or child held up close for most of the time or out at arm's length? If the kids are running around on their own, do the parents keep the kids fairly nearby, or are they off on the other side of the playground playing on their own? These are the things I want you to look for. Much of this kind of interaction takes place within our first primary group, our first major institution that we encounter, our family. And these are a few members of my family. My sister here, and my mom, and my own wife, and my sister's husband. And this is actually on her wedding day. So we'll talk as well about rites of passage like weddings and what it means to us to have our families gather around and accept our new marriage. Because being married, being a husband or a wife, is a status. It's one of our many statuses. And as we go through life in other institutions such as school and work and with our peers in the world, our friends and enemies, we learn more about our status sets, more about the different potential roles that we can play. And finally, we're going to be looking at the choices that we make in terms of the roles we play and how we perform those roles. So for instance, sometimes when we're in public, when we're with other people, we tend to go on front stage. We put on a mask. Now at a parade, this might be a very literal mask, but it is intended to give a certain impression about us. It's impression management. Other times it's a much more subtle mask. Sometimes when we're feeling down, we pretend like we're happy. And it's only very special few people that we're close to that get to see that we're really feeling quite tired and not particularly happy. The way that we create our own social selves and that we continue this process of becoming It has to do with how we talk, what we say, what we don't say, our body language, and even our looks. So when I'm hanging out with my students, I can be a little more casual. I like to dress up. I like to give the impression that sociology and learning and academics can be fun and interesting. But when I go to a job interview, I'm going to dress very differently, and I'm going to present myself very differently, and I'm going to put out my hand to shake that hand, and and I'm going to be prepared with my resume, all to give the impression that I'm professional, that I'm good at what I do. But we change the impression that we want from other people on a regular basis. We put on a certain hairstyle when we want to give a certain impression. We talk a little deeper, maybe when we're around our buddies. Maybe a little higher when we're around our family. Maybe a little softer when we're around our loved one. We learn all about this as we grow up, as we interact with people, and as we see other people interacting around us. How do our parents interact towards each other? How do they interact towards other people outside of the family, outside of maybe our own racial group? Or how does your father or mother interact towards people of the opposite sex, or with different lifestyles? All of this teaches us about what is acceptable for ourselves and for other people, and informs how we're going to interact in the world. In Module D, we'll move on to looking about how we interact within these different groups. But for now, we're going to be focused on just the development of the individual.